Recording, yeah.
Got it.
Got it. Recording. For everyone that's not here today, we'll have to leave us early. May I start, Michelle? Is that okay?
Please do.
First of all, I would like to thank everybody who is gracing us with their presence here this afternoon. We are very, very grateful to have you. We are grateful that we have people that want to hear what we've got to say, because let's face it, we've got a lot to say, we feel. And so we want to talk, again, this is the second in the series that I sort of started a few weeks ago around growing your client base in the NDIS sector, because it is something that I think all of us as business owners, we ask ourselves that question. How do we grow our client base? How do we grow our businesses? Where do we get clients from? How do we do all of these things? And as a marketing strategist, to me, that question is like my sparkle, like that's my thing, because I really honestly feel that we need to start thinking about our businesses and growing it and getting clients in a very, very different way to what we may have been conditioned to think about it for always and forever. So I started on that last week, where I was sort of trying to start to talk to you about really hearing and understanding your client and really knowing what they actually need and require, so that we're able to connect with them, because it's that connection piece that to me is so important to actually bring people on board and actually get them to understand what value it is that we're bringing to them. And hence I've invited Michelle from Brave Primal Sisters to come and talk to us today and kind of help, I guess, us understand why connections and relationships are so important when it comes to growing our client bases and growing our businesses, really growing every part of our business, to be honest. So Michelle, can I throw to you so that you can introduce yourself, your expertise and get the ball rolling, please?
Sure, Sue, thanks so much. So firstly, I think that the initial connection comes with self. So, you know, it's super important to be able to connect to the external of what we want and the external of what people actually want, the real people on the ground. But primarily, we need to connect with ourselves and find that real deep knowing of what it is that lights us up and knowing what it is that allows us to have balance in life. And when we don't have balance and we're, you know, not sitting in a really great space ourselves, then it's exceptionally hard for us to be able to build business, firstly, connect with our clientele or our participants. Or, you know, I don't only work in NDIS, I work across a broad spectrum of like different fields, but definitely we need to be able to create that connection wholeheartedly with self, with balance first, and then be able to generate that out into the world.
How do you bring that across for your clients, Michelle? Like how does that piece work?
So with regards to my NDIS clients, let's go into that space wholly and be thinking about the fact that if I go in and I'm unbalanced in my way of showing up, you know, if I'm not in a space of level clarity, then people are incredibly quick and will pick that up very, very fast. And then that generates a level of no balance into, you know, their day. So it's so important for me to come in that really calm, balanced, centered position to be able to generate that into whatever session that we're actually providing on any given day. But in addition to that, me being balanced will generate that for whoever I'm working with, right? And they're very, very quick at picking up. Human beings are like massive radars, and they will pick up on whatever we're generating and bang straight into that space.
So a really big part of what I believe, and I think what I try to bring across in my strategy sessions and my teachings with my clients, is the fact that the biggest piece that we have in our businesses is connection, right? Because if we cannot connect to our ideal client, to the right area of our business, and to all, if we miss that connection piece, you can forget growing your business, you can absolutely forget it. And so I guess from that standpoint, for me, connection in how we do that in our businesses is actually intrinsic to everything that we do, from a business planning perspective, through to marketing plan, through to a sales plan, because it is all about communication. And when we communicate, what we communicate and how we communicate that needs to generate that connection. And if we miss that connection opportunity, that is it. So I would love your thoughts on connection, where that's concerned, because I kind of feel like that is the cornerstone of everything sales, right?
Absolutely. Can I just, before I answer that, if anyone's not on mute, can I just ask you to pop your mute on? It's just coming through here at this end as well. And then going straight back into that question in regards to connection, I think it comes down to that we can't connect to everybody as well. So especially in the NDIS,
Michelle, I'm just going to say that you've popped on mute.
We're so good at this. So what I was saying was that with regards to connection, we have to be really clear that we can't be everything to everyone. And so it's very important for us to be able to sit into that space of resonating who we actually connect with and who the participant is that actually lights us up, that it doesn't feel like we're working. It feels like we're getting some really, really productive work done, but it doesn't feel like we're slogging it out. Because again, if we are in that space of slogging it out, our participants are going to pick up on that very quickly as well, and it will generate a feeling to them that they're hard work, which is not actually what we're here to be doing. We're here to be actually working with our clients or our participants to help them achieve what they want in life first and foremost, and to have a lot of joy. For, you know, many of the people that I work with, their life is not that joyful. So if I can actually come into that space and generate joy and connection and, you know, whatever it is that I'm possibly able to bring on that given day, then that will be felt wholeheartedly for them also.
Yeah.
So coming back to you for a moment, Sue, can I just bring it around to you when you ask, well, you wrote the amazing marketing as that's your jam, but you talk about the sales strategy and the not using the 1983 sales strategy, which, you know, resonates so wholeheartedly with me because, you know, people are not dollar signs, people are human beings. And so can you tell me about your thoughts around sales?
Yeah. So when I say 1983 called and wants its sales strategy back, I actually mean exactly that. We have been conditioned to think that when we are actually marketing our businesses and trying to grow our businesses and putting plans in place, that selling is what we need to do to be able to achieve that. We need to continuously keep pushing what our services are. What is it that we do? What is it that our business is? Who we are, all of those sorts of things. But we're conditioned, and then we feel we've done something, right? We've put a nice little ad together and we're telling people what services we are doing. I think that we're in a day and age with so much information that's coming at us every single day, and you just have to go on social media to how often do we just scroll, right? When we're in an NDIS space or anything that we're looking for in particular, I think that we have an idea already fundamentally of what people do. So I am of the firm belief that we need to actually stop telling people the services and stuff that we are necessarily providing. That doesn't mean that we don't have a services tab on our website. That doesn't mean that we don't think about what services we are offering our ideal client base. None of that. We still have to do all of that work. But when it comes to communicating our business, when it comes to branding our business, when it comes to attracting the ideal client to our business, we do not need to keep reiterating the services that we are doing. That is something that I think is fundamentally understood when we are saying that we are in disability services or we're a disability service provider in any particular state or form. If we want to know what we specialise in, yes, there's areas we can find that in. Very, very important that we have balance as a business, that we are in control of how we control the narrative, how we are communicating with our ideal client base, the activities that we're doing in order to achieve that. Why? Because when we do that and we build a curve of this ilk, and that certainly doesn't mean we go straight up, right? Because everybody wants clients, but none of us can handle 10 or 15 inquiries at the one time, not with any real grace, not with any real value, and not professionally, especially when we are starting out. So it is very, very important that when we start out and we build our plan, that we understand. That doesn't mean we're going to get 5 inquiries at any one time in the beginning. That's potentially month 2 or 3 that we would hope that would happen, and we might be ready at that point to be and have the systems and processes in place to be able to handle that professionally and with value. But when we are building a balanced curve of growth through organically connecting with people, and I think that we often forget that organic connection, and Michelle, you and I were talking about that last week, a little bit about organic connection. The relationships that we already have, the people that we have already met along the way of working in the sector, however many years that may be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or more, those are some organic connections. And for me in my business, I'm here and I run this business, and I'm finally in a place where I feel like I'm meant to be, because every qualification I've ever had, every job I've ever had, everything I've ever learned, every experience in my life that's ever come into it, including having a baby daughter with Down syndrome, put me here, gave me the set of skills and the understanding and the experience to talk with real passion and real understanding about what it is that I do and what I bring to the table. I understand that. But I listened to my path and I organically went with it instead of fighting it. A lot of people fight things like, no, I need to do this. So somebody wants to connect with us and have a conversation, or want to connect us with somebody else that they think we need to connect with. And we go, yep, we'll have that conversation. But right now I have to do my business and I have to sell and I have to do all this. So I'll have that conversation at some other stage. The universe brought it to you for a reason. Have the conversation. You do not know who you're going to meet. You do not know what it's going to bring to you in your business. You do not know any of the of what organically is coming to you. So really listening to your gut, really being internal and actually understanding you and peeling away the layers when we build our businesses, to me, is one of the biggest and most important things to be able to do to build a business of any real value. Because when it's of value, people feel that and they're attracted to that. And we attract less of what doesn't serve us and more of what does. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I might just expand on that and just make the connection between Sue and I. So John Waters, who's with us today, actually was talking to myself and probably Sue on a different level as well in regards to the work that us 2 women were doing independent of one another. And I always feel like if somebody comes across your radar that is of interest and you're like, oh, my ears kind of just pricked up to that. And John actually mentioned probably 3 particular different people to connect for me that he thought would be a great connection. And as soon as I got off that call with John on that particular day, I actually sent messages to those 3 people and said, hey, John has suggested that we make a connection. He thinks that we could be really dynamic together and do some really amazing things. And hence, 3 months later, here we are, starting to generate really amazing things and have 2 like-minded women that are all about building generic relationships or organic relationships or relationships that are here to be able to aid other people, and both working on different projects all the time. But the connection was real. And if we sit in a space where somebody says to us, hey, you guys would be a great connection, and then we just back it away or take it for granted. It may actually be that beginning of like building a really dynamic team of people around you. So, you know, don't miss out on those organic opportunities. They won't all come to fruition of anything whatsoever, but the couple that do, and the relationships that begin to build from other people connecting us, they're some of my greatest relationships that I have in business. And they've just come from meeting like-minded people in the NDIS teams that I work with. The most dynamic teams are people that genuinely care for one another. We're not like stealing each other's shifts, to use the word. We're like making sure that everyone is okay all the time and covering each other whenever anyone needs to be covered, and genuinely caring for our participant. Like the person we're caring for is our number one all the time, but we are equally important to one another. Like, you know, I can't do it alone, and neither can they. And so by having that genuine care for one another, it just keeps building and building, and you feel the momentum building underneath of you and the power of being involved in amazing teams. So I'm really inviting all humans to not be scared to reach out and touch base with other humans and start the connection process of what's possible when we're all working to the greater good of one another, not to dollar signs.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that, or one of the questions that I think needs to be asked, and I think I was having a conversation, I'm pretty sure it was probably again you, Michelle, that put this question. But the fact is that when people are saying, you know, I need more clients, where do I get more clients? Well, how many clients do you actually need to be viable? Have you ever asked yourself that question? I think, you know, you really need to get to a point where you understand that the client's not the commodity here at the end of the day. When you've actually built a business that exudes value, that exudes care, that exudes heart and soul and everything that a parent of a child with special needs or a mother with special needs really have, automatically you're going to be attracting that kind of client to your business. So to me, how many clients do we need? I don't, if somebody has that formula, can they please tell me? Because I've been working in this space for over 25 years. Dumbed it down a little bit so I don't give my age away. But, you know, for a very, very long time. And if there's a formula, I'd like to know what that is.
I think I'm pretty clear on the formula, to be entirely honest. You can take on as much as is possible for you, that it's not to the detriment of self.
Yes.
And it's not to the detriment of your family. I remember I've been a workaholic. I'm no longer a workaholic, but I have been a workaholic. I remember coming home and my husband saying to me one day, everybody else at your work gets a different you, and we just get this asshole. And I was like, whoa, like how unfair that I bring home asshole Michelle to the people that love me the deepest and that I love the deepest.
After you took offense that you're the asshole first, you take offense to that, and it's only after self-reflection you realize
I was not offended at all. I was so grateful that my husband loves me enough to bring that to my attention. Like, and that's just actually not okay. Like, the people that love us don't attack us personally. They just bring it to our attention what is taking place at that given time. So if we ourselves as human beings are totally in balance, or, you know, we will come out of balance. But if we're exercising that's right for our body and eating the right food and drinking enough water and getting enough sleep and having great relationships and engaging our brains in things outside of social media that make our brain grow, then the other things that we need, and then we're giving our family the love that they need to be able to flourish in this world, then we can start to generate externally and we can start to be of service to other people. But if we've got, say we're working 30 hours would be a huge amount of work in this particular industry. You know, if we're working 30 hours and we feel ourselves like walking around like this and we're like, oh, you got a headache, and back it off, because you're not caring for somebody, firstly yourself, who is the most important person that you need to care for. and you're just generating stress, anxiety, depression, whatever it is that you're generating, which we know is the greatest killer of society right now.
Oh,
So,
and and everything else. I think my point of realization was when I took my daughter to swimming class a few months ago, and she said to me, "Mummy, can you put your phone down when we're in swimming class? Because I'd really like you to see just how much I've learned."
Yeah.
I was the crazy lady who bawled through that entire swimming lesson because, I realized like I was the asshole. Like I literally took my child, like I'm trying to be everything to everybody, and I'm trying to be a good mom by doing all of the things I'm doing, and I'm showing up and I'm there, but I was not present. I was not present for my kids. I was not present for my family, my husband, my everyone. And she said it to me so nicely, I just want you to see how much I've really learned. And it was amazing. Donna, you had your hand up. Did you have a question for us?
I did, but I'm a bit scared about throwing myself to the wolves, really.
No, there's no wolves here.
No, please, anybody that has a question.
So just to be transparent, Sue and I have been working together for about, how long, Sue? How long have we been going out together now? 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, about that. I think our relationship is growing nice and strong in that time. Yes. Yeah.
And
are you going to put a ring on it at some point? I mean,
and look, I really do feel that I have took note and have started self-care by leaving nursing after 30 years and nearly wanting to top myself after working in aged care and community nursing and facility management. And I'm super, super, super happy working in NDIS. I feel that this is what I was meant for, but I've still got to pay my mortgage. And it's really beautiful, and I don't mean to be disrespectful at all. And it's really lovely to hear you be so positive and all of that. But I've had one referral in 2 weeks for one-off continence assessment that don't pay my mortgage. And how much more love and free services and things I can buy to try and bribe support coordinators and LinkedIn connections do I need to do? I think I'm a pretty reasonable nurse and I think I'm a decent person. Yeah. But how do we get past that point of, we've all got to put food on the table, don't we? Or am I being really negative?
No. I
think
that it's a very, very important question that you are asking, and that you are, I guess, you're more bringing to our attention that simply making connections and having great relationships do not actually put the food on the table and don't make our businesses profitable. Correct. Not by any stretch of the imagination are we saying that is not an integral part of what we are doing. We absolutely are. I think what I would like us to understand is that what we're talking about today and about the connection piece and relationship is simply the foundation. It is that foundation of when, right? And when we actually can understand what it is that we are bringing to our clients and our participants, when we actually do make those connections and we do market our businesses, people are just that much more receptive to what it is that we have on offer because it's real and it's authentically you. And Donna, I love you so much because you are an absolute straight shooter, the most authentic person I know, because you will tell it like it is. You will bring things to attention. You will certainly talk to people around what is very, very important. But that's important.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kathy, can you just push mute, please?
There's somebody here. I'll see if I can bring it up and see if I can mute people.
Thank you.
Is that me?
No, it's not you, Donna.
No, it's not you, Donna.
And totally exactly what Sue just said, Donna. It's we all have to pay our mortgage, we all have to pay school fees, but don't give up. If you're on the right track and you're actually knocking on people's doors, and it will be that one moment things will fall into place and that it will actually all just start to turn around. Like the worst thing that we can do, well, there's two things: keep doing exactly the same thing over and over again. You may need to slightly change your tact. You may need to slightly, move your marketing, put it into other locations. Like there will be tweaks that you need to make to be able to change the tact. But, you may knock on someone's door this week and they're like, yeah, I'm aware that you're there. I'm aware that you're there. But then nothing happens. And then next week you knock on their door and they're like, I'm so glad that you're back. I'm so glad I'd lost your number and now you're here and I've got the perfect client for you. So don't be a one-off with those people either. Like, good, solid. Sue and I didn't have a phone call yesterday and be on this today. Like, we've been chin wagging back and forwards, watching each other's stuff on Facebook and growing our relationship to be able to step into this space and trust that we've both got the same integrity around what we're doing. So you need to keep knocking. You need to keep like scratching that itch, just be a constant at the door, a constant, but not in a, you need me, like not in a salesy, like more in a space of being like, is there anything I can do to be a service to you?
Yeah, the sales strategy and the marketing strategy and the business strategy needs to be there. Those are definitely our next steps. Hey, I wouldn't have a job or a business if that's not what we're doing, right? That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? I guess we're starting off in the early space where we are. I'll keep going. It's actually, although that's, well, Donna, you are already making connections and really important and having really important conversations with the people in your area who are finding you and who are actually finding you of value. Building a brand and building a business is not, this is my plan and tomorrow you're there. We have to keep working at this. I've been working in my own business for nearly, I think it's year 9 this year, right? It is something that never, ever stops. We have to continue to build our brand. We have to continue to have that sales plan and that marketing plan that is resonating with people. But it's that connection piece that we're talking about today, is in getting that messaging right, getting that authenticity right, understanding the importance of relationships and connecting so that we're not stuck on this, wheel of motion all of the time where we are just selling. And that, why is nothing happening? Why am I not getting the inquiries? Why am I not, getting to a place where I need to be? Is because fundamentally we haven't figured out what the right message is to make that connection. And it isn't something that happens overnight. It is something that we have to work at. We actually have to spend, and I give full day strat sessions to everybody that starts out with me. I will not start working with a client unless we have had that strategy session where we are peeling back the layers. We are finding the person. Then we start building the strategy of, right, what is balance to me? What things can I put into place? What are my main strategies in my business? Generally, our main strategies when we're starting out in business is a solid business plan, a marketing plan, a sales plan, a financial plan, and a communications plan. Those are really our 5 main strategies that we have to implement in our business. And all of those things underneath that have got their spaces so that we can build systems and processes that work, that we can actually build momentum in. So by no stretch of the imagination are we saying just be brilliant and be nice and the clients will come. Not at all. It would be lovely, but that's not the truth of it. We're not going to sit here and lie to you and say when you get to the bottom of your value, when you get to the bottom of how to connect with your ideal client base, there is still a hell of a lot of work that you've got to put into place when your business hat is on to be able to grow your business. We just are not talking about all of that today. Hang in there with us, because we are, through these conversations, we will be building on that, and we'll be giving you more information around how we are doing that step by step. But we do not, when we are selling and starting out our businesses, have to put on repeat what services we are providing to people day in and day out, week in and week out through our social media, because we think that that is how we're going to be attracting our clients. And that is one of the main sort of things I think that we want to bring across today, is in what does that mean, and what does connection mean, and what does building my client base or wanting to embark on doing that really entail. And honestly, it is about finding your balance, finding the balance within your business. And with that knowledge and peeling back those, being really, really honest with ourselves, only then can we build the business strategies and tactics and things like whatever it might be that you need to actually put in place to make your business plan an actual reality, and not just a business plan on a piece of paper, which is what we all do. We're going to go have this business plan. Great, I've got that tick done. Now what's next? Got a business plan. My business is supposed to be running, right? No, we have to put one foot in front of the other, and we have to do that with consistency. And these are the kinds of things that we will build on going forward. Now, John, you had a question and wanted to chime in. Have you got some pearls of wisdom for us coming from your end?
John's coming in. Can I just ask anybody, if you have questions, just to pop them in the chat?
Yes.
And we will have a go at answering them for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sue. If I can take you back to 1983. I was in year 11, you were probably in year 9 or 10, maybe 8.
How dare you? How dare you? I was 7.
I believe that. I absolutely do. I was entering the workforce, and one of the things they taught us back in the day before the internet was press the flesh. Now, that at the time probably didn't mean too much to me, but now it actually really means something to me. It means engaging it in the relationship. Other catch cries, such as pre-internet, was believe in your product. Well, you're the product now, so you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in yourself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because every time you're out there, whether you're with a client, with a prospect, or with your friends, that's a potential referral. Believe in yourself and feel a sense of worth, which is everything you're saying. So absolutely. So the only thing that has a lot of things have stayed the same. But one thing now is I look at people's web pages and I look at the about section. I never used to look at the about section. I thought it was a waste of time. It's absolutely key. You can see when somebody's actually copied and pasted something from the NDIS web page and put down the generic, we serve to serve all people and the blah, 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 blah. Or you can see something's actually sincere and meaningful and worthwhile. And that actually means something. So we were talking about earlier, your values and your sense of self, and portraying that out as a message, a unique message, not just a copied and scripted message from an AI tool of some description. Something that's meaningful in the way you're going to add value to other people's lives is what you're selling. And you need to believe in that.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. And I also think that it is important to understand that motivation and us being motivated, that's not 24/7, right? We're humans. We're going to have that ebb and flow of when we're motivated and we can really, really, really do things, which is why having a plan and being disciplined is so, so very important. And I know, Michelle, that is your absolute space in where you really thrive and shine to come into it, because we have to understand that it's not about perfection, right? It is not about getting it right every single day, every single minute. It's not possible. We are humans at the end of the day. So that it is going to look, Michelle's got a brilliant graph that she can probably put up for a minute, because I had such joy looking at that, because I was like, oh, that's my life when I saw that. But it is about when we do the homework and we do the work and we really kind of understand in building a plan and where we are today, where we want to be in the future, that when that ebb happens and when we are not having a perfect day or a great day or a day that anything happens, it's not going to derail the whole thing, because why? Tomorrow's another day. Our plan is in place. We know what we got to do. Now our discipline's going to kick in. We're going to do what we know we have to do regardless of what it is that we're feeling or going through. And you know what? We'll get there. You'll get there. And that's really all that matters. And Donna said the word perfectly when she wrote back to that. It is that resilience, you know, building a bit of resilience into our space, into our day, and allowing ourselves to be perfectly imperfect from time to time. Because, hey, lucky for us, we work with people, right? And so we are all in the same boat. We really, sure, size of our boat may differ. The sea that we're on might be different. Might be different. There might be a lot of differences in there, but we are all human, and we all go through all of the emotions, stages, and whatever it else that happens to us. We all have that. So really, from a fundamental perspective, when we can show up authentically in all of our imperfection, people connect more with that than that portrayal of always being on it, right? We don't have to do that anymore. People don't connect with it. They don't believe it. And trust, first and foremost, is what we are all about when we are working with people that desperately need us for their world to be able to go around. I don't know how I would get through life if I didn't have our plan, the support workers that I have, the team that I've built around my daughter and my mother with me to be able to make my world go round. I would probably be institutionalized because it's just not a possibility. So it is just so important that we understand that it's not about just because we are saying that this is how it's got to be, that we have to be good at it and at 100% all the time. But having a plan allows us to be able to remind ourselves where we're coming from, where we're headed, roughly where we are right now, because how great is it to be reminded when we're having that shitty day and you're asking yourself that question, oh my God, well, why am I doing this? Like, is this even worth it? We can go back to our plan and remind ourselves fundamentally what it is we're doing all of this for. You get perspective again. You allow yourself to have that day to reset and to remind yourself and to grow, and we go on again.
Even coming into that, and like when we know our what, but if we don't know our why, like why we're building our business or why we want to work with a particular type of participant, like if we don't have a really good why, then we're just flapping about. Like I always come back to my why. Why am I doing this? And if the why makes your heart beat a little bit faster, then just keep moving in that direction. And if your why is a bit like you haven't got your why right.
Yes.
Like you really have to find that thing that is like, I can't not do this. Because when you step into that space and that's authentically you, and many people are just like, you know, paying the mortgage or, you know, just going about things day to day. But in this particular industry, in the NDIS, it's about making that heart beat for yourself and the participants a little bit faster, like, you know, bringing joy to you, bringing joy to others. And yeah, knowing your why will also help to build that momentum underneath of you, build that fire, you know, and keep putting a little bit of stick. It's like Sue's talking about, just a little stick each day. We don't need to cut down the whole forest and put it underneath of us. We won't cope. It's not possible to do that. So if we just put a little piece of wood underneath of us at a little bit at a time, then the fire builds, and it builds at a temperature that we can handle. It doesn't get too hot. We're too stressed. We've got to get out. You know, we're just building a little momentum.
Balance in all things.
There's a question there, Sue, that I would really love for you to tackle. It sounds more like a you question than a me question.
So Daniela, and I'll get you to chime in when I sort of have this conversation, if you don't mind, Daniela, because I'd love to hear what your thoughts are when I kind of give you a little bit of feedback. But Daniela's question is that as a support coordinator working for a small company, I'm wondering how to get clients when all big companies like the Ferris's, Bapt, Care Mission Australia and others, she doesn't have anything personal against them, it's just good examples, have firsthand when they've got local area coordinators to do support coordination for clients. It's a really, really brilliant question, because I think what you're saying is when we as small businesses don't have that organic networks and stuff that we have to tap into that can actually do some of the legwork and stuff, how do we actually do that? When that comes, am I getting that right, Daniela? Or would
Yeah,
you
that's
like
totally right. It's mainly you're a little fish dealing with the big fishes, and then you're trying to figure out how can I tackle, clients, and you get through that. So it's kind of going towards windmill all the time. That's the main idea of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got it right.
So to do this in a really small nutshell, this is a very big question. And I guess it kind of comes back to strategy again. Everything comes back to strategy, discipline, and how it is we're actually communicating and fundamentally connect with our ideal client when we don't have, I guess, just that thing to tap into to do the legwork at the end of the day. So how do we do that is by being able to know fundamentally who your ideal client really is and what do they look, feel and smell like. So a lot of work that I do with some of my clients in the very, very initial stages is to break it down, because we all say our ideal clients are NDIS clients with plans that entail this, that and the other. That's sort of the fundamental thing that we all say when we think about what our ideal client is. Actually goes a little bit deeper than that, because we actually have to also match them with our capability, our expertise, our experience, and then the value that we can bring to that. So how do you compete? You don't. First and foremost, we try and not compete, and we try and not do that. A lot of families like mine who need the help of these things, I steer away from the larger organizations like that, not because there's anything wrong with them or that they're doing anything wrong. It's just the fact that I require somebody that I can feel really connected with and actually connects with my daughter or with my mum. So I don't really want to just be in that space where I'm just ending up with wherever the institution or the man, if you want to call them, being the NDIS, tells me where I've got to be and who I've got to work with, right? So I actually seek out the smaller companies who are providing those specific services that I want. And then I want to be able to say, when I read through what it is they're doing, I need to kind of feel like, yeah, you know what, the value, the experience and the expertise that comes with people that are qualified and have got experience in the field and all of those sorts of things. But we're looking for that difference of where that connection is, because I'll tell you right now, I have been through 7 or 8 physiotherapists in 1 year in working with my daughter. Why? Because she didn't connect with them. And when she didn't connect with them, nothing happened. I'm not your monkey and I'm not going to do what you want me to do. And she is not even 2 yet, but hell, she'll let you know when she's not in the right space. So we don't have to feel like when we can't tap into those sorts of things that puts us behind the 8 ball. In fact, let's figure out what your unique proposition and your unique position actually is, and let's solve people's problems before they even have the chance to ask them. So one of the bigger things that I do when I work with my clients, we spend a lot of time on, now that we have uncovered who your ideal client is, we've uncovered the area that you want to work in, all of those questions are answered, we start drilling right down to, okay, this is your client, what are their biggest problems that we have to solve or what they need solved? We work a long time on that to actually understand who your ideal client or what your ideal client's problems really may be, that's what goes in the website, not necessarily your services. It will be there. But we want to tell people, how do we solve your problem? What are we bringing to the table? And how can we actually support you and your family to solve your problems that you have?
Yeah.
And that doesn't, we don't solve a person's problem just because we do call supports. Okay. Because
And
you
I-
can do call supports, whatever, you know, a million miles from home. If that connection piece isn't there, we really need to work on that connection piece so that we don't have to worry about the fact that we are not necessarily connected to or can tap into the big system. All right. It is all about outside of that and what makes us different than that, so that we don't have to rely on that. Sorry, Michelle, I know you want to jump in. Please
No,
go.
it's just about what Sue's talking about, is creating your unique mechanism. So what is it about you that stands out? What is it about you that's different? And then one of those things is that you're not one of those big produced companies. You're not a big, you're like small and independent. And, you know, that is, in my belief, I believe this so wholeheartedly, but it's the way of the future. Like, people's bullshit radars are so huge that if they know that there's options and that they know that they will find you, but you can't be scared to, you know, keep gently knocking on the door, keep showing up, keep being you, keep like telling people what you're amazing at, and don't be scared. That's not having tickets on yourself. That's just called being completely amazing and authentic. And it, you know, whatever your secret sauce is, like, pour a bit of it on to wherever it needs to be, because that's how you become uniquely you. That's how you become extraordinary. By nobody's going to know that you're extraordinary if you're sitting at home pretending that you're not. So we need to get out into the world and actually be, you know, putting our secret sauce all over the place and sharing it with people.
And having a
Daniela,
good, oh, sorry, John. Yep.
Daniela, I live and breathe this market space. I particularly focus on sole traders and small niche providers. People are seeking your services as a sole trader and as a sole provider. People do not want, there are people out there who do not want to work with large organizations. They've been burned, so they like large organizations. They want a personal relationship. There is a market space for you. You can also turn that to your advantage even further by making yourself a scarce resource. You can identify that you're not going to actually connect with everybody, because you're a human being and you're not going to connect with everybody. So for those clients that I'm going to connect with, I've got some great offerings for you. So you can create a sense of scarcity, which is basic economics, and make yourself into something worthwhile chasing, as opposed to you chasing them, they're chasing you. And that's what all our networks are all about. And that's about creating a platform for traders where people are actually seeking their services out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, once again, how do we compete with the larger businesses is by not competing, but making or delivering through your business strategy an actual platform of attraction that allows people to be attracted to you for your specific expertise and experience and value that you can bring to that family to support them. Yeah. So it is about a larger strategy where we are building a network of ideal relationships that really serve each other reciprocally. Didn't stuff that one up. Because every relationship and everything we have is a two-way street. How many times I know that a lot of people are out there trying to connect with support coordinators, with local area coordinators, with those sorts of people that we think can help us grow our client base and our business. And they connect with them, basically saying, I'm a business in this space and I'd really love you to refer to me. What are you doing for them? What are you actually laying a platform for to build that relationship? Because every relationship is a two-way street. So please don't go out there and try and build a referral network by just making yourself known, once again, putting a company profile or a flyer attached about the services that your business provides and what those kinds of things are doing. Why? Because once again, people are knowing You want something from them, but what are you bringing to the table for them? What is it that you are going to do to enhance their relationship with their client that you want to have? And how's that going to make them look? How's that going to make them feel? What is that going to enhance that relationship with? Because they're also trying to retain their clients. So it is part of a larger strategy, and it's okay not to be them, and understand what platform of attraction you have to build to be able to tap into that. David, you've got your hand up and you've got a question.
That's one thing, even better, don't even try to be them, because you are not them and you can't be them. So like, just be you, just embrace you and dive in.
Yeah. Go, David. How can we help?
So I can totally understand where you're coming from with everything, but with my space, the only drama I have is I'm not challenging other providers. I'm challenging a system that is outdated.
Mm-hmm.
The system that's broken, the medical system that's completely broken. But people don't want to look at my way because they're so conditioned for psychology, counseling, which absolutely does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I manage 3 plans with my kids. I've got plan managers. I've got support coordinators because I've got 3 kids on NDIS.
Yep.
But for what I bring to the table is a holistic approach, because I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm a holistic coach. So I look at life differently. I look at the structure differently, but then I'm challenging a system that's so broken that people are so drawn to.
Yeah.
What do you do in that sense? Because you're not challenging an organization, you're challenging a system.
You are challenging a system. And so therefore you need to know that system really, really well to understand how, with a broken system, do I actually truly support my client? And so we go back to the foundations of when we're relationship building with our clients, because if one of the first questions that you are not asking your potential participant at your meet and greet is not around what are your goals, not only just the NDIS goals, which we know the funding is connected to. Great, you need to know those. So that's what they're going to give you, because that's what they're conditioned to be able to say. So you say, so what are your goals and what are we trying to achieve here? And they start to outline it. Your very next question can be, excellent. Now tell me what your goals are. What is it that you would like to have day in and day out? I know what we're now supposed to achieve, and we will, and we're going to put our plans together to be able to do that so that we can get revised and get a plan similar or better for next year to be able to serve and to be able to actually enhance our life and build our capability that we want to build. But now that we know that, what have you loved that you have thought you haven't been able to do? How can we find a way to bring that? My mother used to be an artist before her accident, and she paints amazing. Of course, with being paralysed for a long period of time due to being in a coma for nearly 6 months, she lost all condition and she thought she'd never be able to paint again. Until one day somebody brought to her attention that you may not be able to paint how you used to, but paint you can paint, and in fact we can build your capacity through it. That joy that has brought back her old self in that space. So broken system or no, David, I'm telling you, there are still ways where you can connect with your client and make them come alive and make them feel connected to you as their service provider, as somebody that has a bond that can never be broken. And that's how you actually make clients for life at the end of the day, is really to make such a strong connection with your client outside of the system and what it provides or not provide. Because we all have to work within those constraints. It's not something that we can change, something that is changing all the time, as we know, right? It is such a moving target that it is so difficult for us to be able to know, can we, can't we, whatever, but try to put that aside and try to really get to the fundamentals of the person And that's why, again, I think it's a great question, because it does fundamentally come back to that connection piece again. Because if you are connecting with your client, the system doesn't matter.
Well, that's what I've pretty much done with my kids as well.
Yeah.
When I've done, my kids have got a very big goals, and I'm, like they say, and people are amazed with how I have one's under schizophrenia, all three have got autism in that. And I'm like, no, we want them to be able to survive independently. That is what I'm pushing, and that's what I've pushed ever since. And they're progressing, they're moving forward at such a rate that I'm targeted there. And I want them to be able to live normal lives, and that's what I'm aiming to. I teach them the mindfulness, I teach them everything that I do, because I know the benefits of them, because I want to see them live normally. And be themselves.
Be themselves, exactly.
The change is happening. Like, David, if I work as a holistic counsellor, and everything that I do is from a balanced perspective, and it's changing. If you look at how much has changed over a very short period of time with the introduction of even like cannabis oil, whatever your thoughts around that, that's not my business regarding how other people feel about that, but it is changing. The change is coming, and I really invite you to think about reframing the way that you are approaching that. It's not a fight. It's just being a part of the change, because we don't win fights. So if we're part of the movement towards the life that we wish to see, then we're moving in the same direction. Whereas if we're fighting, it's two forces against one another. So just hop into that gentle wave of people that are moving towards that understanding that it is whole. You know, it's not, people are not one small pill, you know, people are human beings, and it is changing. Like, if you can feel it, I can feel it, I'm sure you can feel it too.
Yeah.
To be myself, pretty much.
Did that answer your question, David? Like, does that give you a bit of an insight? More
or less, to just say, be me. And you know what? And continue to be me, because if I tried to follow the system way everyone, it's not resonates with me. Just me being holistic is me. What I do is me.
Yeah. And
I'm building on that every day. And it's just more or less, you know what? Be me, and people will come to that.
Absolutely, they will.
That is
authentically your secret sauce.
Absolutely.
You know, in balance. Keep walking your walk, talking your talk. You can't do someone else's.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Are you on a Zoom call now?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Well, we went so over time.
Yeah, we are so over time, guys. I really appreciate that you've been so involved, and that you're still hanging around. Everyone's still here. And so I think that the conversation is something that I really would love to be able to continue. And so we will find ways to be able to bring some of that to you over the next little bit. First, we've got Christmas and New Year's coming up. And so there's going to be a little bit of a break in time, but we're working on some pretty interesting stuff. As something that is probably a little bit more workable and actionable. Right now, we have been kind of bringing some content to you, which is a different way of thinking. We wanted to see how people are responding to that. We have had a really massively positive response from people in what we're trying to, I guess, bring to this table around building businesses. So both Michelle and I would like to make available to you a 30-minute free consultation to anybody here today that wants to chat around their own business and perhaps start that conversation of, this is where I'm at, where do you think my next steps should be? And it is completely obligation free. It's also free. But I think just having that conversation one-on-one, that you can kind of start to peel back that space for you and your business, and where you might think your next steps may be. We would really love to make that available to everybody today if you would like to. So when we are sending you the recording for today, we will give some links to you where you can connect with us and book in a time to be able to have that conversation, whether it is before Christmas or after Christmas, it doesn't matter, all in your time. If you've been here today or you've registered to be here today and couldn't, you have that option to come and have a chat with us at no cost and just a bit of your time. And I do hope that you take us up on it, because there's nothing more valuable than being able to actually speak to somebody impartial about your business and about how you could tap into that real you and bring that out, so that we don't feel like we are either fighting the system or competing against our competitors or any of those sorts of things. Because if that's really where we're thinking, we're spending a lot of time in the wrong energy and in the wrong space to be able to do that. So I would like to thank Michelle for coming on board today and helping me just reiterate, I think, you know, what I think and feel about what building businesses should really be about. Well, businesses from our end anyway, in what we're doing. But I would like to thank everybody. Michelle, I'll give you the opportunity to thank everybody. And
yeah, thank you, Sue. Thank you everyone that popped in today. It's amazing to be able to share knowledge, and you know, it's time well spent if you learn one thing or take away one tiny piece of a tiny snippet of something. Then you know, it's time spent. It can be your I learned something today. So hopefully Sue and I got to contribute that to each and every one of your lives, and that would bring me great joy to know that we did that. So yeah, much respect for every one of you that's out there doing amazing things on this beautiful planet that we live on.
absolutely, we need you all. We do. We need each and every one of you and more of you, especially with authenticity and real love for what it is we're doing.
Thank you to John for connecting us, and just for being a downright amazing human being as well. So thank you, John, for that.
Absolutely, John. Always much love.
To all of you.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We'll get this video to you as soon as possible. And I really hope if you did find something of value today in this session, we'd really love to hear about it, please. So feel free to connect with either Michelle or myself and just let us know if there's something that really resonated with you and what that was. Really, fundamentally, we bring what we bring to you because we listen. Our ears are this giant wide, and you know, listening and meaning that we can actually bring some real true value back to you, and that's really what we're here for. So if you do have something you'd like to share with us, we would appreciate your few minutes of popping that or an email or wherever you feel that it is valuable to us. But we would genuinely like to hear it if that's the case. But again, thank you so much from all of us, and you have a brilliant rest of your day. Beautiful. Thanks, Kiki. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much, guys.